They never warned you about this. They never prepared you for this truth. The moment a man gains control over himself, the world around him starts to feel unstable. The walls of comfort, illusion, and expectation tremble. And the system, that invisible hand designed to keep men distracted and weak, starts to notice. A disciplined man is not dangerous because he wants chaos. He is dangerous because chaos can no longer enter him. From childhood, most men are trained, not raised. Taught what to consume, what to desire, what to chase. Pleasure is cheap and endless. Discipline is made to look harsh and outdated. Weakness is normalized. Strength is mocked. Order is called oppression. Confusion is called freedom. They feed illusions of what masculinity is. They breed young men into believing that cars, women, money, and flashy status are real power. Loyalty is ignored. Respect is dismissed. Protection is laughed at. Control over lust is absent. They mold illusions of masculinity while teaching nothing of the inner fire that defines a true man. True masculinity is quiet. It is disciplined. It is principled. It is dangerous to the untrained eye. This is not accidental. A man who lacks self-control is easy to guide, easy to distract, easy to exhaust, easy to profit from. He works, consumes, escapes, repeats. He stays busy but never fulfilled. He stays stimulated but never alive. He is a puppet with strings attached to the world's manipulations. But a disciplined man steps outside this loop. He does not move at the speed of the crowd. He moves at the speed of intention. He does not need constant reward to keep going. He does not need approval to feel whole. And once a man reaches that state, he becomes unpredictable. He cannot be bought. He cannot be broken by distraction. He cannot be forced into compromise. This is not about anger. It is about clarity. A disciplined man sees through illusions. He notices patterns others ignore. He understands that comfort weakens the soul when it becomes permanent. He knows that resistance sharpens him, and because of this, he cannot be manipulated easily. He becomes a living paradox, present yet detached, calm yet imposing, silent yet heard. This is why discipline is attacked first. Another reason the system fears disciplined men is because discipline restores patience, and patience destroys manipulation. When a man can wait, he cannot be rushed into bad decisions. When he can endure boredom, he cannot be trapped by endless entertainment. When he can sit with discomfort, fear loses its leverage. Impatience is easy to exploit. It makes men impulsive. It makes men emotional buyers, emotional followers, emotional servants to urgency. Discipline stretches time. A disciplined man no longer feels late to life. Growth becomes a process, not a panic. He learns to value hours over distractions, focus over pleasure, endurance over ease. Discipline sharpens responsibility. A man who controls himself stops blaming the world. He accepts weight. And once a man accepts weight, he becomes reliable. Reliable men do not need rescuers. They act where they stand. They rise when no one else does. They endure when the crowd folds. This is why discipline feels heavy at first, because it forces truth. It removes fantasy. But once carried long enough, the weight becomes strength. Strength is quiet, almost invisible to those who chase noise, yet it shapes reality wherever it moves. Masculine psychology follows one law. A man must overcome himself before he can stand firm in the world. When discipline is missing, emotion leads. When emotion leads, direction collapses. The man drifts. He follows shadows. He seeks the applause of strangers instead of the satisfaction of principle. A disciplined man feels deeply, but he is not ruled by feeling. He experiences desire, but he does not bow to it. He understands that impulse is temporary, while consequence is lasting. He transforms desire into drive, chaos into order, temptation into mastery. Discipline restores hierarchy inside a man. Impulse steps down, purpose rises. Principle replaces mood. Vision outranks relief. This inner order creates stability. A disciplined man becomes emotionally solid, not emotionally numb. He holds joy without addiction and pain without collapse. Modern culture glorifies instant release and endless expression. But a man who never learns restraint never learns power. Restraint builds pressure. Pressure builds strength. Strength builds presence. And presence cannot be faked. Presence commands without speaking. Presence defends without aggression. Presence thrives without permission. Nowhere is this clearer than in sexual discipline. A man who constantly drains his energy loses sharpness. His patience shortens. His confidence weakens. His spirit becomes restless. He seeks relief instead of growth. He becomes a shadow of himself, and he wonders why life passes him by. Semen retention is not suppression. It is direction. Life force kept within rises upward, into clarity, into strength, into calm authority. The energy that once flowed into fleeting pleasure becomes power in every thought, every action, every decision. This is when men change without trying to. Calm replaces anxiety. Confidence replaces noise. They stop chasing, and life begins responding. Doors open, eyes notice, challenges bend. The invisible world begins to align with the disciplined man's presence. A disciplined man becomes internally free, and internal freedom threatens external control. The system does not fear rebellion. It fears men who cannot be bribed. Men who are disciplined cannot be distracted by noise, numbed by pleasure, or driven by fear. They are rooted. Discipline builds endurance. Endurance outlasts trends and panic. While others rush, the disciplined man slows. While others shout, he observes. While others despair, he recalibrates. While others complain, he acts. Discipline restores dignity. Quiet self-respect. A man who keeps promises to himself begins to trust himself. That trust becomes posture, tone, presence. It radiates without effort, compelling respect in every room, every conversation, every environment. Over time, discipline creates peace. Not comfort, but alignment. And peace unsettles systems built on inner conflict. Noise fades. Illusions crumble. The man becomes a living argument against chaos and entitlement. Scripture praises endurance, obedience, and self-control. Christ conquered through restraint. He fasted. He withdrew. He resisted temptation continually. Discipline is not separate from faith. It is evidence of it. It is a reflection of divine order in human form. A man who cannot control his body struggles to hear God. His flesh drowns out the spirit, but discipline restores alignment. Discernment replaces confusion. God is not chaos. God is order. He becomes a living testimony that the soul can master the flesh and walk unshaken in purpose. Biologically, discipline awakens ancient systems. Men were built for challenge, not constant stimulation. Hunger, cold, effort, restraint. These sharpen the warrior. Testosterone stabilizes. Energy concentrates. Reflexes heighten. Presence solidifies. The body becomes a fortress. The mind a weapon. When a man trains, denies excess, and retains his seed, his body adapts into readiness. Calm strength, controlled aggression, quiet capability. The warrior energy flows naturally into action. Decisions are faster, endurance longer, and desire becomes serviceable rather than destructive. A warrior is calm because he is capable, gentle because he is strong, patient because he is dangerous only when necessary. Discipline transforms ordinary men into forces of nature. It builds a man who moves through the world with precision, yet whose impact resonates like thunder in silence. Wake earlier than comfort allows. Train daily. Eat with intention. Reduce stimulation. Choose silence. Retain your seed. Pray even when it feels dry. Keep promises to yourself. Discipline is built when no one is watching. From discipline grows another pillar the system weakens. Truth. A disciplined man speaks carefully. He does not speak to impress. He speaks with weight or not at all. Truth costs comfort. Silence becomes strength. Truth begins internally. Add small rituals daily. Cold exposure, focused journaling, fasting, movement with intent, time in silence. Each builds mastery over the body, mind, and spirit. Each reminds the man that power is earned, not granted. Something subtle begins to shift when a man commits to discipline long enough. Life does not explode overnight. There is no applause. Chaos slowly withdraws. Problems shrink, not because they disappear, but because the man grows larger than them. Opportunities begin appearing without being chased. Responsibility finds him. People rely on him. His consistency speaks before he does. Conflict decreases. Drama finds no fuel. He no longer reacts emotionally. Boundaries hold without explanation. The crowd doubts, but he remains unshaken. His relationship with time changes. Days feel fuller. Urgency fades. Planning replaces panic. The future no longer feels threatening. It feels reachable. His body responds. Energy stabilizes. Sleep deepens. Strength accumulates. Posture straightens. Health becomes maintenance instead of struggle. His mind sharpens. Overthinking fades. Decisions become clean. Focus strengthens. His mind becomes a tool, not a battlefield. Spiritually, alignment deepens. Prayer feels natural. Silence becomes peaceful. Faith becomes lived, not spoken. He feels guided rather than lost. Socially, his circle shifts. Chaos fades out. Order appears. Respect increases. Conversations deepen. Environments stop draining him. Failure changes shape. Setbacks inform instead of destroy. He adjusts without self-pity. Discipline turns mistakes into instruction. And quietly he realizes, life is no longer happening to him. It is responding to him. Even the strongest men are tested in silence. They face moments when no one is watching, no one is judging, and the world seems indifferent to their efforts. It is in these quiet trials that character is forged, and the fire of discipline becomes visible, not in applause, but in the unwavering persistence of the soul. A disciplined man learns that comfort is the enemy of growth. Every morning, he rises before the sun. Every decision is measured, every action intentional. His life becomes a sequence of small victories stacked upon each other, invisible to the untrained eye, yet monumental in consequence. True mastery is not measured by what a man takes from the world, but by what he refuses to give into. Lust, greed, anger, and fear are not defeated by force. They are transcended by presence, patience, and principle. The man who controls himself becomes untouchable because his energy no longer feeds illusions or distractions. Even in the face of loss, he stands firm. Wealth can vanish, recognition can fade, relationships can fracture, but a disciplined man holds a kingdom within himself that no external force can dismantle. His spirit becomes a citadel, his mind a strategist, his body a vessel of enduring power. And when the system tries to sway him, it meets nothing but stillness. He is calm in chaos, patient in urgency, powerful without violence. And in that quiet, unstoppable strength, the truth becomes evident. The world cannot bend the man who has bent himself to higher laws, higher purpose, and higher discipline. The system fears disciplined men because disciplined men cannot be owned. They think clearly. They move deliberately. They answer to conscience before crowds. They build families, not addictions. They build legacies, not escapes. They build inner kingdoms that cannot be invaded. You were not born to be scattered, weak, or ruled by appetite. You were born to be steady, grounded, and faithful. The system fears disciplined men, but heaven calls them forward. Walk the narrow path. Choose restraint. Choose order over chaos. Because when disciplined men rise, noise fades, illusions collapse, and truth stands firm. And that is exactly why the system fears disciplined men. Thanks for watching, brother. Remember, live with honor or die a coward.